Welcome back to CRAVE Italy, the show where Italy meets America. Passion is celebrated and stories connect us across cultures. Today we are thrilled to welcome entrepreneur Dalila Gelsomino, who brings Italian creativity to the American market through her unique vision and global journey. We are also delighted to have with us again chef, instructor and food writer Viola Buitoni, here to share another delicious recipes before she returns to Italy. But first, hold on there, let's celebrate what unites us all, the Italian language. It's time for L'Angolo della Lingua Italiana with Arianna. Arianna, a te la parola.
Ciao a tutti, and welcome back to the second episode of CRAVE Italy at L'Angolo della Lingua Italiana. I would like to begin our first official Italian lesson by addressing a very commonly received question from friends or acquaintances when visiting Italy. I believe this is also a very common question that people have when visiting a country that has a foreign language barrier. Now, beyond the usual questions about how can I ask for the bathroom, or how to say please or thank you, I receive a lot of questions about the food industry. Specifically, how to understand and communicate with waiters and baristas in restaurants, bars, and cafes. Now, two of the most commonly used phrases in a restaurant setting are quanti siete or per quanti. Now, these two phrases actually have the same translation, which is how many? And this is used by waiters usually in restaurants to ask for how many people are in your party so that they are more appropriately able to find a seating arrangement that fits your entire group. Another very common word that is used, I believe in all three of the settings, cafes, bars, and restaurants, is the word dimmi. Now, dimmi directly translates to tell me, but is more so meant to ask, how can I help you? And I would like to give you these phrases and words that are commonly used in these settings so that you feel more comfortable with knowing how to respond if you're being asked these questions. So, if you're being asked quanti siete or per quanti, there are two usual ways that you could use to respond. The first, if you're feeling, I would say, a bit more uncomfortable with your Italian language skills or shy, you could always use universal nonverbal communication, which in this case would present itself by using your fingers to indicate how many people are in your party. So you could say this for two or three, and so on. If you're feeling more comfortable with your Italian language skills, you could always use the Italian word for the numbers, such as due or tre, and so on. Now, if you're being asked, dimmi, there are actually three different ways that I would say you could use to respond. The first is, again, for those that are shy or don't feel super comfortable with their Italian language skills. You could again use the universal nonverbal communication tactic, which in this case would be to pick up your menu and point out to the staff what it is that you would like to order. Now, another way that you can communicate is by using one-word answers, such as pasta or pizza, but this could be a little more difficult in Italy as there are a wide array of pastas and pizzas. But another example would be reading off bruschetta and things like that. And then the final way that you could respond is truly for people who have a more advanced understanding of the Italian language. You could respond by using a full sentence. For example, you could say, vorrei una pizza margherita per favore, or vorrei una margherita per favore, which would directly translate to, I would like a margherita pizza, please. I'm so happy that you've been here with me to listen to my lesson. I truly made this lesson as something that you could come back to in the future when you're planning a trip to Italy so that you can understand these phrases and words better to be able to then feel more comfortable in the setting of having a response. So, yeah, thank you so much for being here for my lesson, and I hope to see you next week for episode 3.
Grazie Arianna, a settimana prossima.
Arrivederci!
This season of CRAVE Italy is brought to you in partnership with the Consul General of Italy and the Italian Culture Institute for San Francisco. With their support, we celebrate tradition, promote the Italian language, and highlight innovation that connects Italy and America. To learn more and explore upcoming events, visit their official website. Today on Crave Italy, where Italy meets America, we are connecting all the way to Playa del Carmen. I'm excited to welcome Dalila Gelsomino, Italian entrepreneur and founder of Buy with Dali, who blends Italian creativity with a global vision to help clients to find their dreams home abroad. Dali, welcome to Crave Italy.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here, and thanks for having me.
So, Dali, could you tell us a little bit about your background? How did your journey take you from Italy to America and then to Mexico Riviera Maya?
Yeah. So I'll try to make a long story short just to not bore you guys. Basically, so my journey started literally during university. I had always been kind of drawn to the US, and I have traveled several times in the US. It's always been part of my journey until I won a scholarship that allowed me to study in New York. And that experience kind of opened my mind and gave me more of an international perspective. That's what I feel. Then I come back to Italy, basically, that was 2012. In 2012, I studied in New York. Then I come back in Milan. And when I returned to Italy, I work as a fashion PR. But even though I've always loved fashion so much, I realized that I wanted to build something of my own, and the values of that industry, I feel like it was not defining me anymore. Like it didn't resonate with me anymore. So I've always come to Mexico, that's important to say, because part of my family has been living here for many, many years. So I always came here on holiday. Basically, I would come here like once a year since I was a kid, since I was like 13, 14. So I do know this area a lot since a long time. And in 2016, I decided to actually settle here. I started as an entrepreneur. I started as an entrepreneur in the hospitality industry. I still am partner in the hospitality industry. I have still business in the hospitality industry. But then about 5 years ago, I decided to transition to real estate. So that's a little bit of like my journey said in 2 minutes. 5 minutes, yes.
What inspired you to create Buy with Dali, and what was your vision when you started this project? And it's doing so well.
Thank you. Yeah, oh my God, it's a very interesting journey, and it took a lot of energy, time, and effort for sure, but I'm very happy and very proud of it. First thing first, I want to say, I think this industry, I mean, real estate, that's what I work in. I feel like it's a deeply personal industry. It's entirely built on trust, on human relationship, on ethics, which is not common, but it should be built on ethics.
Right.
And basically, that's why I created Buy with Dali, because I wanted to represent the real estate industry in a different way of doing things. So, unfortunately, and it's just the way it is, most of the people in this industry rely a lot on manipulation, pressure, misinformation, and I really, really wanted to break away from that. So my vision has always been to build a brand where my clients feel represented, but also feel transparency, where they feel honesty, they feel genuine care. And the service I provide and we provide is highly personalized, is not just about the transaction. So it's a little bit of a shift in the paradigm. That's how I feel it, because real estate gives pretty much a bad image of itself. It can be authentic, it can be empathetic, it can still be very successful without compromising values. So that's the reason why I started to buy with Dali.
So you work closely with the American market and have clients in California and behind. What attracts American investors to Riviera de Maya, and also how do you connect with them?
So first thing first, and I think it's the most important thing, the buying power, right? With the same budget, basically here you can get at least double of what you can get in the US. And when I say double, I refer to double the space, double the quality, right? So that alone, I feel like it makes a strong investment motivation for buyers. So that's the first thing that attracts people from the US or from Canada, for example, but also from Europe. I mean, from other markets, the fact that they come over here and they want to invest here, it's principally for the power of purchase that they have with their money. Then, I mean, of course, there's a tourism factor, which, Riviera Maya, it's a place that works all year round. So, yes, we do have like slower months, but for most of the year, I would say 70% it's full and it's touristy. Cancun Airport is the second busiest airport in Mexico for international arrivals. So the flow of people basically never stops. And I think that gives investors a lot of confidence that when they buy, they know the property is going to be giving them back. And a lot of people also buy because they simply want to spend time here some part of the year and then rent out the property, or other buyers that don't even rent the property out. They just want to have a second home or a third home or a fourth home, and they want to be here for most of the year because the lifestyle, it's, beach, culture, warmth. I mean, we have good weather. A lot of people come from cold cities. They want to have that part of their life kind of solved out. So they want to know that they have where to go like part of the year. So yeah, I think also lifestyle makes a lot of sense over here.
Let's take a look at Riviera Maya. 1 second.
Am I dreaming? No, I'm living in my dream.
What a beautiful, magical place.
I know, it's
Wow.
fire. Like, we do have it all. Like, people think we only have the beach, which just the beach, I mean, it makes so much sense. Like, it's so beautiful. We have
Mhm.
the most beautiful water of the Caribbean, but then we have so much more. It's not just the beach. We have cenotes, we have natural parks, and the archaeological sites. So there's so much that you can explore here.
What has been the biggest challenge you have faced in building your brand? And what is the achievement you are most proud of so far?
So I think the biggest challenge for me has definitely been building credibility, because when you don't have like a big established brand behind you, the path is longer. It
Mhm.
takes more effort to prove yourself, and I think one of the misconceptions of this industry is that people assume that if there's a famous brand name, then people behind it must be the most qualified. But that's not always true. I've seen the opposite many times. So my challenge for sure was, really about positioning myself and my brand in a very competitive market. And I do feel that today that recognition has come for sure, especially in the Riviera Maya. So I'm happy about that. It's been hard, but I'm really happy about that. Uh, and regarding of what I'm most proud of, I would say, well, for sure that, the reputation I've built over here, I'm very proud of that. Uh, Builders and developers, very often they approach me directly to collaborate, and that shows trust. But for sure, one of the most important milestones for me, it has been to open the Miami market, not as a giant brand, but as a startup that is, opening in new developments in a market that is, if this is a competitive market, I think Miami is like 10
I
times
agree,
more competitive.
exactly.
So for me, that's something I'm very proud of. And I've partnered with the most important real estate firm in Miami, specialized on new developments. So I'm very, very proud of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how does your Italian background influence your work and the way you present yourself to the international clients?
I feel my Italian identity definitely influences me a lot. Well, I'm from Milan, first of all. So, I think also, I mean, I'm Italian, but I'm also from Milan, which always marks an extra difference in, I think in taste, quality, and design. Um, Having worked in fashion and specifically in fashion communication, that really, really shaped the way I present things and the way I tell stories. So that's a huge mark in my career. I also feel like that gave me the possibility to filter properties through the lens of coming from that background. So what, for me has true aesthetic value, what has real quality and what doesn't have it. And I think it's important to say that Made in Italy is not just a label. I feel like it's a mindset. I feel like it's in our DNA. Our DNA says that beauty and quality matter. So clients often, I feel like they often pick up on that in the right way. And they understand that from me pretty immediately.
So, what are your next goals for Buy with Dali and for your career?
For sure, the next goals are to be able to represent international properties that are highly filtered by me when it comes to quality, aesthetics, architecture, design. Like that's the ultimate goal. We want to be in the position of representing properties all over the world in the most important destinations where we know that the property is highly valuable and it's a property that matches with the brand of Buy with Dali.
So, the last question. At Crave, we love to close with this. Beyond your work, what is your true passion and what motivates you to carry it forward every day?
Well, I think, but for sure, my job is a big passion of mine. Takes because I'm so passionate about my job that when I'm not working, I feel like I'm still working. Like I'm trying to find new things out, and I'm
Uh-huh.
just curious all the time. I'm such a curious kid. But besides that, for sure, a big passion that I have it's the animal world. I love animals so much. I think that's a big passion I have. So I like, everything related to animal rights and just justice when it comes to environment and to animals. So that's a strong motivation I have. And that's something that fires, like brings
Yeah.
me brings me a very passionate fire
Uh-huh.
outside my work. Yes.
Dali, where people can find you?
So you can find me on buywithdali.com. Even though I suggest the platform where I speak the most and I publish the most, and you can get to know me better, it's for sure Instagram. So by under Buy with Dali, that's how you can actually learn more about my industry, learn more about this market and my job.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I can't wait to have you back.
Thank you. I'll be super glad to be back for sure. Thank you, Sam.
Alice Baker Inc. is one of the CRAVE sponsors, a California-based boutique that celebrates style and self-expression. This wonderful boutique offers an incredible selection of clothing for women of all ages, designed to suit every style, taste, and occasion. At the heart of Alice Baker Inc. philosophy is the belief that fashion is more than just clothing. It's a way for women to express themselves and feel confident no matter where life takes them.
Thank you so much to Alice Baker Inc. for supporting this episode. After traveling with Dalila to Mexico, Riviera Maya, we return to the flavor of Italy. Chef instructor and food writer Viola Buitoni is back to open our culinary segment with recipes that celebrates Italian tradition. Viola, a te la cucina.
Ciao Samantha, buongiorno.
Buongiorno, ma che piacere, grazie.
Allora, today we're going to stay vegetarian and we're going to make one of my favorite pastas because it's one of those pastas that kind of happens at the same time while you're cooking the pasta, you're making the sauce. There's also no cooking other than the pasta. So today's ingredients are beets, right here.
Okay.
And we're also going to use some goat cheese, a little bit of goat cheese, the spreadable kind, right here.
Okay.
And then we'll have some pistachios. Now, the pasta that we're going to use today is tubetti, which are tiny little pasta, very often used in soups. But as we make this, I'll tell you why we decided to use tubetti. So the peculiarity of this pasta is that we're going to use all of the beets. We're going to use the beet itself, and we're going to also use the leaves.
Okay.
I already have some of them cooking because it's going to take a while, more time than we have. But what I want to show you is how do we prepare the beets and their leaves. So let's start with the beet. First of all, of course, we have to peel it. And you can do that with a peeler. I prefer to do it with a knife just because of how I've always done it and how I was trained. It works better for me. I also, because I'm left-handed, I think that there is this conspiracy in the world. Every tool is really meant for right-handed people. So peelers are always difficult for me.
Right.
So here I have my beet. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the green part of the leaves from the stalks that are a little harder. I'll put the leaves away, and then I'm going to just get rid of this. It's going to be full of soil and dirt. So I'll get rid of that. And then I'm going to dice first the stalks, just like that. And then the beets. So a safe way to always work with the round vegetables is to always get yourself a flat surface first. So cut it in half. That way it's flat and you don't have to, it's not going to roll away when you cut it, and you're not going to cut your fingers. I make slices, which are about 1/2 inch thick. Out of those slices, I make sticks. And out of those sticks, I'm making dice. So for 2 people, that's the proportion we're doing today. You can cut a whole beet, medium size, with its leaves, and you'll have about 200 grams of pasta for a nice earthy meal. So 100 grams of pasta is essentially like a whole portion. After that, you just have a salad and you're done. About 2 tablespoons worth of pistachios. These are just raw peeled pistachios, and they're not salted. Now, what am I going to do with the leaves? The leaves are going to go in almost at the end because they cook much more quickly than the beets and the pasta.
Right.
And so I'm going to take them, I'm going to what in cooking we call julienning, so which means making tiny little ribbons out of the leaves. You see how I have these like super tiny little ribbons? And I am going to actually mix them with my parsley. I have about a tablespoon of chopped parsley here, and so I'll put the leaves and the parsley together. All right, so one more thing, which is we are actually, one of the fun things of this pasta is that we're actually cooking the vegetables and the pasta together. So I gave the beets about 2 minutes headway, and then I added the pasta in boiling salted water. So they're already boiling and they're turning a beautiful kind of pink color. And in the meantime, here is going to be my serving bowl, and it's also going to be the bowl where I make my sauce. the caprino, the goat cheese is already in there. And I am going to add a little bit of olive oil, maybe like a couple of tablespoons, 1 and 2. And I'm also going to add
Che fame.
a magic ingredient, which is pasta cooking water.
Ok.
So that's probably about, I would say about 4 ounces. It's a quarter cup. And then I'm going to take a wooden spoon and just kind of like dilute this. Make sure that it turns into a cream.
What inspired you to create this recipe with beets and pistachio?
Because so pistachios is a wonderful gray flesh, and it's very
Love it.
sweet and oily, and it really kind of holds up very well up against the earthiness and of the beets. Beets, they have no fat. They're very like beautiful, dry vegetable. And many people don't really prefer beets because they smell like dirt, right? They
Yeah.
taste like dirt. I say yes, a little, but first of all, dirt can be very good. And secondly, I think if you put the right ingredients up against it, that dirt is stained in a beautiful symphony of flavors. And so I think pistachio is just right for that. All right, so essentially, this is our sauce. This is it. Okay.
Ok.
Now we're going to go and we're going to taste our pasta and the beets to see if they're ready. I think they're probably almost ready. All right. Okay, they're ready. So other things I don't need, I can turn off the heat. Also, I don't need like a big colander situation. You know how I feel because we talked about it, about this kind of implements that allow me to just lift the pasta out of the pot without having to dirty yet another thing. So the first thing I'm going to do before taking it out is I'm going to take my greens, the ones that I julienned, and just put them in there. Give them just maybe like barely a minute so they can cook just a little bit, but still retain their beautiful color. Okay. The next thing I'm going to check on are my pistachios. So super rough chops to the pistachios.
Viola, I love pistacchio and I love barbabietole, perciò questa è una delle mie paste
Oh, good. This is a
preferite.
good recipe for you. I'm putting some of them already in my sauce, but I am keeping some of them on the side so that I can actually garnish the top of the pasta. All right, so now I'm ready to put the pasta in the sauce.
Wow.
And now you'll see the last thing that inspired to me. Look at these colors.
Yes, all different color, red, green.
And also, these are the color of our flag, right? There's that. So every time in cooking, we talk about the color of our flags. What do we always talk about? Tomato, mozzarella, and basil. Tomato,
Uh-huh.
mozzarella, and basil. I'm sure Americans think that, tomato, mozzarella, and basil are like 50% of what we eat, right?
Yeah.
Which is really kind of not true, as you know, is one of the things that you eat, but there's so much more. So I always look for recipes that have the colors of the flag, but are not tomato, mozzarella, and basil. So that's another thing that inspired me. All right, here you go.
Wow.
I'm now going to toss it. It's beautiful, super creamy. If it's a little dry, all you do is add a little bit of the cooking water. But this one is just perfect. A little bit of pepper. And also because I like people to know what's in their food, I'm going to put like just a couple of little pieces of goat cheese here and there so that people look at it and say, oh, look, it's goat cheese. They know what they're eating. I always like to garnish my food with whatever is inside it.
And also, Viola, for those cook at home, okay, do you have a tip how to balance the sweetness of the beets and the richness, of the pistachio, so to get a perfect flavor?
So you probably want like a 4 to 6 ounces beet, okay?
Okay.
And then 2 tablespoons of pistachio and about 2 to 3 ounces of goat cheese. 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then of course the tops and the leaf of the beet. I'm going to try this. And you can see this, I'm using a spoon, and this is one of the things I love about this shape, is that I get to use it with a spoon, and that just like throws me back to when I was little, where pasta was a spoon affair.
I love it.
If you really like beets, you can put more beets, you can put more pistachios, you can do anything you want. These, I think, are proportions that really work well, but you can, of course, play with it and decide, oh, you know what? I really want as many beets as I have pasta, if you really like beets. Or another thing you can say is like, you can say, I really don't like beets. They really taste like dirt to me. I don't care what Viola say. Go ahead and use another vegetables. You could make this with broccoli. You could make this with fennel. You can make it with zucchini. You can make it even with carrots. Like carrots are so overlooked. They are delicious and sweet.
wow,
And like
okay.
nobody ever thinks about carrots. And we always have them in the refrigerator, but no one really thinks about carrots other than like either something that you boil
Right.
until it's mushy or you use it at the bottom of your food to make a soffritto.
Grazie. Meraviglioso, grazie veramente.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be with you,
And
Samantha.
yeah, me too. Yes, it's great. And you're going to go to Italy, right? You're going to Italy for a while.
I'm leaving. Yes, that is true. I'm leaving in exactly a week. I will be in
Mhm.
Italy for 2 months. I'll be doing three of my food tours. I'm going to Modena first, and then I will be going down to right outside Naples. And my last trip it will be in Umbria in early November. And this is my first food tour to Umbria, believe it or not, despite the fact that Umbria is my home region. So I am very excited about that. And you and I talked about maybe connecting when I am in Italy and showing our viewership something from my cooking adventures there. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Yeah. Ciao Viola, grazie mille. A
Thank
presto.
you.
Ciao.
Ciao, Samantha. Bye.
This segment is brought to you by Mona Lisa Marimonti, a stunning Italian restaurant in San Francisco, California, where tradition meets elegance. Let's take a look.
Welcome in Mona Lisa Maremondi, la vera cucina italiana, autentica, mediterranea. Abbiamo una cucina stupenda con homemade pasta, origin from South Italy, the steakhouse e real seafood fresh. Abbiamo il pesce fresco, qua si mangia all'italiana. Mona Lisa Maremondi 414 Colombo. Vi aspettiamo, buon appetito. Venitemi a trovarmi, grazie.
Grazie for tuning in to CRAVE Italy, the place where Italy meets America. Subscribe, share, and follow us on social media. Your support helps us, our community, grow and keeps Italian culture, language, and stories alive across the world. Ciao, a presto, ci vediamo settimana prossima. Grazie, ciao!